Welcome back to Cover's Bracket Breakdown, looking at Saturday's 2 Elite 8 games. All of this presented by Bet365. I'm Jason Logan. He's Douglas Farmer. That's Rohit Pannaiya. Let's jump right in. We just have the 2 games, but thankfully, a widespread market of bets to choose from here. Douglas, what do you like? Best bet for Saturday? Sorry.
Best bet for Saturday, I will lead us off with a Duke Alabama player prop. It's not one I usually target this kind of market, but looking at Grant Nelson of late, I'm not buying in. Bet365 has his points, rebounds, assists combination set at 19.5. I'm taking the under at neg 115. Grant Nelson is great in March, but lately that's kind of just been like a highlight reel dunk ethos. He has not been filling the stat sheet, clearing this prop in just one of Alabama's 5 postseason games thus far. Sure, some of that is due to injury, but even if you exclude the 2 games where he's been real limited, it's 1 out of 3. And that injury could be slowing against this Duke front line. Duke is a big team. Every member of that starting lineup, 6'6" or taller, topping out at 7'2". Grant Nelson is not going to have the physical presence he usually does in this game. But the real piece of this that I want to get behind is we saw Alabama scorch the earth Thursday night. They're going to have to do the same thing against Duke. They're going to shoot all day long. Grant Nelson is not going to have the touches in the post. And furthermore, the rebounds, long misses, long rebounds. He's not going to corral as many. That's just going to really limit any ball touches for Grant Nelson. So give me that under 19.5 points, rebounds, assists combo at Bet365.
All right, Rohit, what do you like here for a best bet Saturday's Elite 8?
Staying with that same game, I like the over team total for Duke, getting that right now at 90.5 points. You know, I love this play. You saw me take, BYU the other day, kind of over the last 2 months. It's been pretty much any team that plays Alabama when they're not playing at home. You look to target that team total. And the Tide just play at just such a crazy pace. And at this point, we know it's in their DNA. In theory, maybe Nate Oates should start to try to focus a little bit more on the defensive end. But it's becoming pretty clear that that's not the case. They're kind of stuck with this philosophy of just running and gunning with everybody. And that's led to them ranking 347th in the country in points per game allowed, more than 81 points per game. That's up to 86.5 points per game allowed over their last 12 games. And now they're taking on the number 1 offense in the country. Crazy thing about the stats, too, for Duke. I mean, you look at them, they're top 20 in turnover rate, top 10 in 3-point percentage, top 10 in 2-point percentage, is that they actually weren't that great on offense towards the start of the season, where guys like Flagg, Maluach, Knueppel were still starting to figure themselves out. They really kind of skyrocketed over the last couple of months, started to play at a much faster pace in the middle of February, and now they're able to kind of run in transition with Alabama, score from every spot on the floor. They don't really have any weaknesses. I mean, you look at what Alabama did in their last game. BYU scored 88 points against them while shooting 6 for 30 from 3-point range. So I can't imagine what a more efficient Duke offense is going to do here.
Yeah, that BYU game was weird. Even at half, they were so terrible, yet it was still a 9 or 10 point game at half. Like it wasn't definitely decided by that point. So yeah, that Alabama defense leaves a lot. And I'm going to dive into the player prop market when it comes to that team in a bit here. But my best bet, I've been waiting all tournament to play a double result. I love the first half full game markets. However, they've been stingy here, but I think there is good value in taking Florida double result against Texas Tech. Taking a good look at this West bracket. And Texas Tech has had some poor first half performances in the tournament, and they've been punctuated by extended scoring runs by their opponents. When they played UNC Wilmington, it was like a 15-3 run to end the first half for the Seahawks. They played Drake. That one was even close at half. Drake had a 9-0 run in the first half of that one. And then, of course, the Arkansas game, they go down quick. It was like a 15-13 run, 15-2 run in that first half that put them behind. And we look at Florida. I mean, Florida, great in both facets of the game here, but this is something that has been around with the Red Raiders defense all year. They are 119th in first half defensive rating. So they just don't tend to get off the bus early on. They take a little while to warm up on defense, and you're not going to get, the benefit of the doubt with the Gators. This is one of the best offenses out there, a ton of scoring options. If you're going to come out flat, if you're going to let them go on runs, they are going to make you pay. And then UF even better in the second half as well, too. The second highest second half net rating. I expect TTU to be running on empty. They had a really physical game against Arkansas, had to play the extra period. You're playing a super deep Florida team, and the legs just aren't going to be there for TTU. They have shot the ball just horrendous. Without Chance McMillan, they have shot 25% from beyond the arc from three-point range in the tournament so far. It's not going to get the job done against the Gators. So I like Florida to win the first half, win the full game. The double result, -150. I feel like there's strong value in that one there. Let's jump into the player prop markets. I know there's no big ups. Like we're not high on upsets for this round here, but we do have some player props. We do have some other bets that we do like. Rohit, what else are you looking at here?
Sticking with that Duke game I was talking about earlier, I like the over points for Knueppel, 15.5 points right now, -115. I think this is great value on him. I mean, Cooper Flagg is coming off such a phenomenal game, but he's always going to get more kind of attention from defenses. And Knueppel has really kind of surged as that number 2 guy in the offense. He shoots the ball extremely well. We know that Alabama kind of sags off those outside shooters because of their drop coverage defense. And he's coming off a 20-point performance in the last game against Arizona. He also scored at least 17 points in 7 of his final 9 regular season games. And of course, I mentioned the pace of this game is just going to be off the charts. So should be lots of chances for him to score here.
All right, Douglas, what else are you looking at here for Saturday?
My only player prop was that Grant Nelson under 19.5. I'm not, and that's just a lesson in when games get fewer, when they only have 2 games a day, don't force action. Don't go looking for something just because there are fewer games. Still be cautious with your bets and make sure to only bet when you find the value.
Or maybe I'll pose a question. Mark Sears to hit 4 3-pointers. It's +225 at Bet365. I mean, we just saw this guy torch it last night. This is as big as you're going to find an underdog for Alabama. GameScript says they're going to be playing from behind against a very potent Duke offense. He's going to have to chuck.
He's going to take 14 of them. So sure, you start to see thoughts like that. You have to wonder if one of the best 3-point defenses in the country can extend far enough beyond the arc to make him even think twice, because that's what it will take for him to not shoot 12, 13, or 14 threes.
And he was unconscious last night. That is a bet that I'm going to be putting in on this one. I've got a couple player props. We talked about Alabama's defense being terrible, and Maluach, the big guy there for Duke, I took his over 8.5. It's at -115 at Bet365. Alabama's interior is horrible. They just don't protect the rim. They give up a ton of points in the paint. They give up a lot of offensive rebounds. And this big 7-footer for an 18-year-old 7-footer freshman, man, this guy is phenomenal and playing himself into that NBA draft conversation. And I don't think Duke wants to run and gun with Alabama. I think they're going to try to stick this game in sand, and that means a lot of passes into the inside, scoring high percentage looks at the basket, and forcing Alabama to then start their offense off the inbounds. I think that's the best plan of attack. And Maluach coming off a fantastic game against Arizona. He was big in the glass. He put in 13 points. Game models for him calling for 10+. However, his player prop markets were opening at 7.5, 8.5 here. I think he comfortably gets over this one. So I took his over 8.5. And then sticking with another big guy, Chinyelu for Florida. Took his over 6.5 points. It's at even money. This is trying to get ahead of maybe the Alex Condon news. He did roll his ankle in that game last night. He did come back later in the game, but this is a nagging ankle injury that's been with him since February. And Chinyelu came in and played fantastic minutes when Condon was down and put in big minutes, put in a lot of points as well too. Anyone that's injured their ankle, they know that day after the second day, it hurts a lot more. You can get back out there and, staying loose and staying warm when you hurt it and getting back out there. But that thing's going to swell. It's going to get seized up. And if he's limited at all, I think Chinyelu is going to get those extra minutes. He scores at the rim. He scores on those drive and dumps and those dunks inside. He can hit the offensive glass. TTU, not a great defense, but they're not great at protecting the rim. And beyond Toppin, they start to get pretty small in the front court. He had 10 points, like I said, against Maryland, 6-6 in the first 2 games there. Game models around 6 points, but I think the ceiling is higher based on what we could see from Alex Condon, how much he plays. And then Chinyelu bringing a lot of energy inside. So I like him to go over 6.5 points at even money. Rohit, anything else there you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I love the first half, second half result for Florida, but I'm also just going to bet them -6.5 on the spread. You look at this Texas Tech team and how well they've played over the last few months. But they had to really crawl back from a 16-point deficit the other night against Arkansas. And I don't think they're going to be, if they fall behind again, they're not going to be able to do that against a team as clinical and as balanced as Florida is. You mentioned kind of the depth of this Florida team, and that's kind of where they've really shone in this tournament. You look at Hogg, you look at Aberdeen being able to come off the bench and play like quality starters on any other team. And there's just really no letdown with this Florida team. Over the last, since that ugly loss to Tennessee, they've been the most dominant team in the country, and they've routinely been winning big against really good opponents. Yes. 15-1 straight up in their last 16, 13-3 against the spread. That includes, comfortable wins against Auburn, Alabama, Missouri, Maryland. They're just doing it against the best, and they just look so strong and balanced on both sides of the ball. And the only way I see Texas Tech being able to stick around in this is if they get A+ games from their players. Of course, the status of McMillan could certainly maybe swing things a little bit, but it really does concern me that, it was him that said he couldn't play the other day, right? He was warming up, apparently. The coach, McCausland, said it was, McMillan who said, I'm not comfortable going and playing, and that's why he didn't play. And when you're deciding for yourself that you can't play in front of your home crowd. So is there a chance he plays? Yes, but even if he plays, he's not going to play very much. He's not going to have a big impact. And I don't think he's going to be able to swing this game.
And a weird finish to that game. I mean, yes, they make the comeback. You want to give TTU all the flowers that they can handle, but Arkansas, we've seen them execute terribly down the stretch. And then Coach Cal, maybe some questionable coaching decisions, didn't foul. With the 3-point up, didn't call the timeout. And I know, Doug, you have a little more on this Florida TTU game as well too.
Hearing you both get behind Florida here, you with that double result, Roe with the next 6.5. You might have. I was looking at this total. The full game total is 156.5, and you're going to hear everybody and their mother talk about this over. Florida has cashed 10 straight full game overs. Texas Tech has cashed 7 out of its last 8. But you should never make a bet solely because of a trend. But hearing you both talk up Florida, the more I'm leaning into taking an over here. But tournaments can get wonky late, whether it be a full court press or an abundance of free throws or simply somebody trying to slow it down and drain the clock. You never know. I'm going to hit the first half over of 74. If you two are both behind Florida here, that means this game is going to be sped up. If the Gators are dictating this game, they want to play fast. Texas Tech, bottom third of the country in tempo. Florida, top 20%. So if Florida's in control, that suggests the over. Give me the first half over of 74 rather than the full game, simply to avoid some late game absurdities. When you look at that 74 instead of 156.5, quick math, that's 47.3%. Apply that rate to their postseasons. Texas Tech has cleared that rate in 4 of its 5 postseason games. Florida, 5 of 6. So if you want to insist on being a trends better, you're still lining up with that. But for me, I'm more betting this because, and another reason I like it, I hear you both on Florida. I'm dodging the McMillan wonder. I'm dodging the Condon wonder. When I go for this over, I have a little more forgiveness than you might with those concerns. But to hear you both talking up Florida, another way to back the Gators is to take the over.
Yeah. And as I mentioned too, that TTU first half defense, it's bad compared to what they do.
I believe I wrote down your quote, extended scoring runs by opponents.
Yeah. We're not like little ones. We're talking like 15-3, 15-2, things that would normally buckle a team. And those didn't come against Florida.
Well, you look at what they did against Arkansas the other night is they got like 20 offensive rebounds. That's not going to happen against Florida. You're not going to score 50 points in the paint against Florida. So, they don't have those ingredients to kind of pull off the upset here, I don't think.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting one to watch. A lot of great bets. I think that circles all the bets. I think we got them all out. We emptied the clip on this one.
We've touched on a Duke team total. We've touched on a pile of props there. We've touched on a total and a spread and some props in the other Elite Eight game. I think we've covered Saturday.
I think so. With only 2 games, I think we did pretty good. All right. Well, that is it for Saturday's Elite Eight games. We will be back for the Sunday Elite Eight games. Until then, best of luck with your bets. Enjoy those games.